So what's up, world? This is your girl, Miss Fierce, and this is a special episode of the Sessionz, as well as Fierce'sCorner.com. I have a special guest with me, someone who I have known and worked with for a while now, Mr. Thomas Bailey. If you don't mind introducing yourself, sir.
Yes, my name is Thomas Bailey, like she said. That's just who I am.
So to give you all a backstory, when I started my website, Fierce'sCorner.com, Thomas was one of the first people to reach out to me as a PR with artists that he worked with, and I interviewed them and, of course, placed them on my website and promote their music and so forth. And we kind of just kept in touch over the years, and now Mr. Bailey has stepped out and has written a book and is doing poetry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you first, what tempted you or motivated you to step outside of your box and do poetry and even write a book?
All the things that I was going through in life, period, it helped me. Just poetry was a way of just expressing myself, and like I said before, I was going through a hard little journey, and poetry was a way for me to escape. And through just writing and journalism, it helped me write a book, which is a non-fictional story about a character, which I put some of the similarities that I had from my life inside the book. And it's just from other things I have seen with some of my friends and things like that. So just a great way to express myself. And some of the things that I was seeing was how I came up with the book idea. And just do poetry was just a way to literally just express myself. Like I said, I just the past 2 years, 2015 to this past winter was just like kind of just a rough road for me. So poetry was there to just kind of express myself.
Now, have you always written poetry and now just starting to share it with people, or was this something new to you?
Now, I actually started writing poetry in my junior year in high school when me and my mom had lost our house and we had to move to a hood called Valley Forge Apartments. It's in South Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
So just during that time, I kind of started writing poetry then, but I didn't take it serious because I was a basketball player,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really tell nobody. But now, I got serious with it back in 2015, 2016.
Now, with you, writing poetry and, beginning to share it with the world as well as with your book, is it something that was like terrifying to you to be so open to people that you may not even know who, will read this?
Yeah, most definitely. It was definitely terrifying. And I think that's why I kept it to myself for so long. Like I said, when I started writing poetry back in 11th grade, I didn't want nobody to know. I had a notebook that was really thick at the time, and I just kept it to myself. I didn't let nobody see it or anything. I probably let my best friend probably read it like once or twice, but never went through the whole thing. And now I'm still trying to get comfortable with it, and it's still terrifying because my biggest fear is someone judging me because of my own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It's being judged because of who I am as a person. But the reason why I wanted to just step out because I felt like it's almost like, man, just their monkey after shows, So I'm willing to take that terrifying step,
Is it kind of therapeutic in a way for you to not just write your poetry, but to also, share it? Because, depending on what the subject matter could be within that poem, it could possibly help someone who might be going through whatever you were going through when you wrote that.
Yeah, most definitely. That's what actually inspired me. Like I said, I had a lot of friends going through some stuff because I feel like as human beings, we get so caught up in our situations that we think we're the only one going through like certain circumstances, and we don't realize that like other people are going through it too. So when I was talking to some of my close friends, or I would see, situations like, the police brutality things that was going on in just the world period, I was just like, dang, this is a time for me to share, what I've been, writing in poetry. And poetry is like, I tell people all the time, poetry is the most cheapest therapy you can get in life, period, and so it is therapeutic. It is a way for you to express yourself. And like I said, once I realized that I wasn't the only one going through just some troubled times, that's what made it more comfortable for me to be able to write poetry and also relate it to someone else's story.
Now, let me ask you, Thomas, like with your poetry, would it be considered maybe like spoken word? Because I know there's some spoken word artists out there, or would it be more so just poetry itself?
That's a great question. I would say more spoken word because I'm a big fan of Tupac, and when Tupac first hit the scene, he was big on spoken word. And spoken word is just that raw feeling, that like aggression, or but sometimes I know a lot of men won't admit this, but we are very sensitive. and I'm a sensitive person, so sometimes I do jot down where it's just literally a poem. And sometimes, with poems, you have to slow down. You have to really make people grasp poems. But with spoken word, you just kind of coming out real thuggish with it. You just like real raw with it. So I believe it's a little mix in between, spoken word and poetry.
Now, I just wanted to touch on something where you said you are a sensitive person. Fellas, it's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to write poetry and to get your thoughts out, because you cannot be hardcore 24/7.
Nah, you can't. You'll lose yourself trying to do it.
You will. You could be a hardcore person who loves poetry. There's nothing wrong with that. And I really appreciate you saying that, Thomas, because you have so many men out here, not even men, just women, who feel like they have to be conformed to, one type of view of themselves. They might always have a wall up, or, feel like they have to be hard all the time. And it's okay to be sensitive.
Now, that's definitely true. Especially, women now, too, are becoming more, like you said, putting their wall up, and they don't know how to express themselves anymore. It's almost like women are becoming like men now. But I think we've lost that sensitivity for one another. You could really blame technology for it. You could blame social media for it. But we don't know how to communicate anymore. And I feel like, through journalism or through reading, I think that is a great way to learn or to pick up how to communicate so that you won't have that wall up.
You are so right, because now with technology, people, when I was coming up, you would have to talk to someone on the phone. Now you can just text them or send them a DM. And not to take anything from you, but it reminded me of this time when I was in high school, and cell phones was just kind of becoming popular. But I remember there was this guy who liked me, and the movie Brown Sugar had just came out with Tay Diggs and Sanaa Lathan. And there was a song on the soundtrack called No One Knows Her Name. And he took the beat and he redid the song about me to get my attention. And to this day, it still sticks with me, because I'm like, he really just stepped outside of the box, and he wasn't afraid of how someone looked at him. Like, he kind of tapped into his feelings with that. So, it makes me think about what you just said about, you with your poetry and so forth and whatnot. So, people take heed to that. It's okay to express how you feel, because closed mouths don't get fed.
Nah, that's smooth that he did. That took a lot of guts. I don't know if I could have done that.
I mean, and the thing about it, he could rap. So, and it was very smooth. I wish I still had the CD, because, back then we were burning CDs.
Yeah, you were burning CDs. Yeah.
And I remember he pulled up and he played the song for me, and I was just like, oh my God, you really redid the song for me. And it just still stuck with me to this day. And I was just like, I really appreciated that. So, and when you mentioned that, it made me remember that. So, Yeah,
smooth. That's right there.
Very smooth. So let me ask you, Thomas, like with with your poetry and stuff, like have you started like going to like open mic nights or spoken word nights, and
I've been doing open mics. I started off back in 2000, at the beginning of 2015, and then I ended up like I was doing open mics all through 2015. Then 2016 came. I performed at MTSU, it's a college here, in Middle Tennessee area. And then I ended up actually performing at South by Southwest, which is the big festival in Austin, Texas.
That's what's up.
Yeah, me and shout out to my girl Charisma.
Shout out Charisma.
Yeah, that's my girl. And she actually invited me out, and we did a track together. And man, it was just, and from then on, it was just I became more comfortable with it. I'm just still doing more open mics. I do have a couple other shows coming up, but for right now, I'm just sticking to the open mics, just trying to perfect my craft.
Man, that's what's up. I'm very proud of you. South by Southwest, that's a very big event, and hopefully I get to make it out there one year. Not to perform, of course. I do.
Man, South by Southwest is one of the most incredible things I ever seen in my life.
Man, I'm very proud of you. Shout out to Charisma. I love her. So, like, do you get a rush, like, when you're about to get on stage or as you get on the stage?
Man, yeah, and, when I started playing basketball in college, I thought I'd never get that adrenaline rush like before a game.
Yeah.
So it's just like that nervous, that nervous feeling, but it's a good feeling. It's a good nervous, just ready to perform and get into the game. That is exactly how it is before getting the stage. Like I practice, but before I'm just like, man, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. I'm so nervous. Like, why did I even sign up for this? What am I getting myself into? But then when you actually get on this stage and you kill it, and everybody just showing you love after the your show, it's just an amazing feeling. I'm just like playing basketball again.
So let me ask you, because everyone knows I love Beyonce, and Beyonce has always said when she gets on stage, she becomes a different person. Do you, Thomas, become a different person? Do you become Thomas Fierce or so forth?
Oh yeah. You got to. You got to become a different animal, a different beast. Like I said, I'm always related back to just playing basketball. Because off the court, I was kind of nice, but on the court, I was just trash talker. I was out in your face. And with poetry, spoken word, that's just how I am with it. It's almost just like, I don't know, I get possessed with something, but I don't know, I can't call it fierce yet. Yeah. I'm going to call it something one day.
Thomas Fierce with the spoken word. So let me, so with your poetry, like I know you said you began writing it, when you were going through, some things in your life, which, I think that's the same with anyone, whether if you share it or not, if something happens to you, you kind of got to find an outlet to release it. So, like with what you currently have written so far, how would you describe those pieces of poetry?
Those pieces would be easy to describe. It's depression, addiction, and just trying to find your way through life. Period. I went through a bad period where I felt like I couldn't find my way to just fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I get fit in with society because I kind of had to. I didn't know my place in society. I kind of still don't even till today. But I ended up starting to drink real heavily, and it caused depression. And so all of my spoken word, and then with relationships, all of that is just tied into my spoken word and poetry. So with that, I pour a lot out, just pour a lot of that addiction, I pour a lot of that depression out, I pour a lot of that anger out, I pour a lot of the happiness out too.
And that's good that you speak or that you spoke on that, because a lot of times in our community, the Black community, when someone is going through something, especially depression